guys, Girl About Library, and I am here with my August 2017 reading wrap-up. I actually haven't done one of these, I don't think, since April, so that was also the first time I ever did a video like this. It's been a while. August was an okay reading month for me. I read 5 books, but honestly, this month was just so insane. The beginning of the month was pretty crazy. My son and I had been out of town for a month visiting family in Missouri, and then we got back from that and had family in town, and then went and visited family. And then the third week in August, yeah, I live on the coast of Texas, near where Hurricane Harvey first landed. The town that it hit is about 30 minutes away from where I live. I wanted to make this video in part just because I feel so insanely lucky to be able to be doing this. Like, if you had asked me a week ago, I didn't know if my house was going to be here, and it is. And I just feel so grateful and lucky, and my heart and prayers go out to all of the people who have been affected by this. It's insane. So let's get into the books. I read 5 books this month. The first book that I read was When Dimple Met Rishi, and that is by Zendaya Menon. And I gave this book 2 stars. I do really want to do a 60-second book review for this one. I haven't done one yet, but I do have, I guess, slightly unpopular opinions about this because a lot of people on YouTube have enjoyed it. I think, though, that the resounding comment that I see is that it's cute, and I 100% agree. It is super cute. The story of it is cute. If you haven't heard about this book, basically, When Dimple Met Rishi is about a girl named Dimple, and she is headed to something called InsomniaCon. She's super excited. Her parents are even letting her go because they're very protective. Anyway, when she gets there, she meets a boy named Rishi. And Rishi is there because Dimple's parents and Rishi's parents got together and decided that they should have an arranged marriage. So Dimple's there for InsomniaCon. Rishi is there kind of for InsomniaCon. He is interested in that, but primarily he is there to meet Dimple, who he thinks knows about this arranged marriage. She doesn't. Rightfully, Dimple is not happy with her parents, but Dimple and Rishi naturally meet, and it's cute. It's a very cute story. But I think looking beyond the cute, the writing for me was just, it was a little sloppy. There were some huge plot points and holes in the story that just were dropped or just were not explained to me. One of the bigger examples of that for me in this book was actually Rishi's brother shows up at the school where InsomniaCon is happening about halfway through the book, and it's never explained where he's sleeping or why it's okay for him to be there for the second half of this thing, and it didn't make sense. It was cute and it worked in the story the way that she was making it, but outside of that vacuum, it made no sense to me that his brother was there. But yeah, super cute. Enjoyed reading it, and I really don't read YA contemporaries or romances that much. So I did enjoy it, but it just 2 stars. The second book I read in the month of August is We Are All the Same by Jim Wooten, and I gave this book 3 stars. We Are All the Same is a nonfiction book, and I love nonfiction. Usually I try to read at least 1 nonfiction book a month, and this was the one for the month. When I picked this book up from the library, I genuinely had no idea where I had heard of it from or why it was on my library holds list. But then Kristen's library commented and said that she had read it in April. I'm sure I watched that video and that's why I added it. But I guess Kristen's library's grandma is actually the one who recommended it to her, so technically her grandma recommended it to me. The story in We Are All the Same is that of Nkosi Johnson. He is a young boy who passed away from AIDS when he was, I want to say 11 or 12, but at the time of his passing, he was one of the longest living children who had been born with HIV. His story is incredibly moving, and I absolutely recommend this book. One of the things that I enjoyed most reading it was just how much I learned about AIDS, South Africa, Nelson Mandela, Nkosi and his life story, Nkosi's adoptive mother, Gail, who is a white woman who lives in South Africa, and she has a home that she's actually started called Nkosi's Haven, that still exists. I gave this book 3 stars, not because I didn't enjoy reading it, I did. I just felt like Nkosi's story kind of got lost in the telling of the book, and that was disappointing for me. There were huge sections of it that were very informative, and I learned a ton about South Africa again and AIDS, and it was fascinating. But to me, the heart of the story is Nkosi, and it just wasn't as emotional as I think it could have been. I did definitely cry at the gym reading this book though. Like the last 5 pages, if you read this book, be alone or like be with someone you're okay with crying in front of, because I was at the gym finishing it, and yeah. The 3rd book that I read was The Thicket by Joe Lansdale. Again, no idea how this book ended up on my TBR list at the library, but it was there when I picked up Hold, so I picked it up. This is a historical fiction book, and I gave it 3 stars. The plot of this book is that the main character, I think his name is Jack, his parents die from smallpox at the beginning of the 1900s. After they pass away, he and his sister and grandfather get on a boat, and they're trying to get Jack and his sister to other family. While they're on the boat, Jack's grandfather is murdered and his sister's kidnapped. So now this kid has no family, and he gets together with kind of like a ragtag group to try and get his sister back. And the ragtag group is him, a son of an ex-slave, and a midget, and a ex-prostitute. So it sounds crazy, it sounds super bizarre, but the writing is excellent in this book, and he made it work. Like, he made it work. It was a really good book to read. I gave this book 3 stars because about halfway through it, like the first third of it is awesome, and there's a lot of world building. Even though it's not fantasy, world building is still crucial, and he does a great job building a world in which it's realistic and plausible that this teenage boy would meet up with these other people and form this ragtag group. But oh my god, the middle of this book killed me. This is a reading slump inducer for sure, and I blame this book for me only having read 5 books in August, way more than Hurricane Harvey, because I couldn't get through it. I was like forcing myself to read the middle of this book. I needed something to happen. Nothing was happening, and it was so frustrating. The 4th book I read this month was The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I rarely read YA contemporary, but I've been on a bit of a kick lately, like with when Dimple met Rishi. So hard to say. And The Upside of Unrequited. I really enjoyed this book, and I think I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The premise of this book is that Molly has had a million crushes, and her twin sister has a new girlfriend, and she just feels like she doesn't have a place in that world. She's insecure, she's really cautious, so she's had a bunch of crushes, but she's never acted on any of them. But when her sister has a new girlfriend, the girlfriend has a friend who is a guy. Molly has a new crush, unsurprisingly. So there's that storyline, but Molly also started a new job, and so she meets a boy there. It's just kind of about her navigating the pull she feels towards her sister, who is her twin, and their relationship is falling apart a bit because her sister has a new girlfriend, and she's not really sharing that part of her life with her, which she usually does. And so that was a really interesting dynamic to read about. This book is chock ton with diversity. Like, if there is a type of diversity that you're looking for, it's probably in this book. I loved how incredibly real the relationships in this book felt for me. I think that's super rare in YA contemporary from what I've seen, and I completely understand why this is such a highly recommended book and why so many people love it, because I was sucked in. You become so invested in the main character. I take notes while I read, and very rarely do I fill up an entire post-it note, and this one I did. I filled up an entire post-it note with comments. I love the life lessons in this book. Like, I just love how Molly comes to see that, like, You can't force a relationship. You can't have a crush on someone and just sit back and like wait for life to happen to you. It doesn't work like that. But you also can't force things either. And I just related to Molly so hard. She gets incredibly awkward when she's talking about or thinking about or like witnessing anything related to sex or like intimacy. That is me. Ugh. Like I shudder just thinking about watching Game of Thrones with my mother-in-law. Like, Because this video is already going to be like a million years long, I'm just going to keep talking about this book. I think it's really interesting how Molly made it her #1 priority in a way to have a boyfriend, and how that affects everything in her life and her interactions with people is fascinating to me, because that wasn't my #1 priority, but I definitely knew people for whom it was. It didn't have insta-love, which was super cool. I just picked this up. If you like YA and you haven't read it yet, check it out. The last book I read this month was Stay With Me by, I might butcher this, Ayobami Adebayo. I was sent this book for review, but as a girl about library where books are always free, you can be sure that any opinions I express about this book are absolutely my own. I gave this book 3 stars. The plot of the book is that the main character, her name is Yejide, I believe. She and her husband Aiken are married. They've been married for a while, and while it is customary where they live in Nigeria for husbands to have multiple wives, they've decided that that's not for them. That's not the life they want to lead. And so it's just Aiken, the husband, and his wife, Yejide. They've been married for a while, and Yejide is not able to get pregnant. And so Aiken's family gets together and decides that Aiken needs another wife, naturally. And so they kind of force him into marrying another woman. And so Yejide feels, understandably, like all of the feelings. She's frustrated and upset and sad and angry. And I don't want to tell you anything else about the plot of this book, because I wouldn't say it's not a suspense novel, but I definitely think that you could ruin this book for people if you told them too much information. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars because I love the ideas that are explored in this book, and I think that the author does an amazing job with that. The main character is put into this insane position that is relatable and also not relatable. But it was so interesting to see how another culture handles that, and just the differences and similarities within that. I struggled a bit with parts of this book. I was really intrigued by the idea of this like forced second wife situation, but ultimately that's a really small part of this book. There's a lot that happens in these pages, and so I was there more for that storyline, and once that storyline ended, the book kind of fell off for me. But overall, I did really enjoy it. And if you enjoy adult fiction, especially fiction that focuses on families, I do think you'll enjoy this book. The publisher actually sent me an extra copy to give away, so I will have a Rafflecopter link below where you can enter the giveaway. Unfortunately though, because they sent the extra copy to me, it's only for residents of the United States, because holy shipping. Like, if I could give this book out by teleportation, I would send it anywhere, but the US Postal Service has other opinions. Let me know what you read in the month of August by commenting down below, or if you've read any of the books that I've read or you're thinking about reading them, comment below. I'd love to discuss them with you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more bookish content. Thanks for watching.